Welcome, fans, to episode number 3 of Shooting from the Hip with the Kingpin, the ECW original, Angel Medina. My name is Jack Kilby, the Executive Vice President of Great North Wrestling. We've got a bit of a combo show today, Angel, in terms of the major topic at hand is discussing the Hall of Fame, but we're also waiting on a special guest, and that being the Greek god Papadon, who we have some business to discuss upcoming in Ottawa on May the 6th. How are you doing today otherwise, though, man?
Well, first of all, let me correct you first, because you just ripped me a new one just a little while ago when you said, hey, man, when you post that post, it's not Kirby, it's Kilby. You know, well, in ECW original, Kingpin, Angel, you know. You keep forgetting, brother, you know, I have that monarchy in the front of it, but I'm doing good, you know, Mr. Kilby.
Thank you very much. We're a factually based show here. And in light of the Canadian government's recent focus on limiting the spread of disinformation and misinformation, we're going to stick to be as accurate as possible here. And I appreciate that.
We'll try.
Before we talk about and introduce GGP, wanted to get your thoughts again on the first. Did you happen to catch night 1 of WrestleMania last night?
Yeah, absolutely. I saw it. I missed a little bit of it because I was heading to a friend's house, so I didn't see the whole show. But from the point when I walked through the door to the end of the show, it was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I liked it.
What did you think of the main event of night 1, or did you see a recap of it? That was the Bloodline against Owens and Zayn.
No, I saw the whole thing. I mean, it was a very great, solid match. Very scientific. It was very well entertaining, and it was set up very well. I keep saying well a lot, but you know, the thing about it is, like, I really enjoyed it. I mean, they well deserve the title. They're the type of individuals that have been together for quite a while, from ROH to different organizations, but they've been best friends since that time frame. So I mean, they deserve the title shot, you know. And again, it was a solid match. It gave the fans what they wanted. When they won, people popped, and that's what you want at the end of the night for the fan interaction. And it's just always something that, you know, because people don't remember the beginning, they just remember the end. And it was a very high, fast-paced title match.
I would say for me, the highlight of the night started probably with the pop of the night too, which was John Cena and his very memorable entrance with some of the kids that he granted the Make-A-Wish Foundation visits with. That was downright heartwarming. And you can say what you want about Cena and, you know, some of the criticism that he was overpushed in his early tenure with the company and so on and so forth. But man, that was a very classy thing to do.
Well, no, I mean, I agree. I mean, that's where I came in. I didn't see the whole thing. I was in the middle of the match when he was with Theory. So, but the thing I was focused on, he needs to work. The one thing John Cena needs to work on is trying to cover that ball spot. That dude and the dye job that he had. I'm not making fun of him, but as soon as I walked in, Jesus Christ, he is bald. Because you see that big old moon roof at the back of his head. But again, it was a match that he was just passing the torch. It gave it a little, instead of a straight 1, 2, 3 count, the kid cheated, so it keeps Cena elevated. And I mean, I'm not saying he would never stay elevated, but I'm just saying, like, it gives the fans to say, oh, he was cheated out of the win. It was not a straight 1, 2, 3. And it just takes a Theory to the next level for beating a legend. Again, passing the torch.
Now, switching to the Hall of Fame ceremony itself, did you catch that on Friday night at the end of SmackDown? It was an extraordinarily long broadcast for the number of inductees, I thought.
I saw a lot of clips. I'm not gonna lie to you. I didn't have time to see the whole show, but I did see the majority of it in regards to the clips on YouTube. So I was pretty aware what was going on. It was interesting. It was pretty solid, I guess.
I would have to say the induction of the night was probably at least from my perspective, the headliner, and that being Conan introducing Rey Mysterio. That dude sure hasn't lost any licks on the microphone at all.
Yeah, I agree. One thing is just like, I mean, time doesn't stay still for nobody. I mean, I know he was going through a lot of issues in regards to health. He's still great on the mic, but I was just like, God, fuck, we're all getting old, I mean, he's not back at the gym, you know what I mean? It just, if you look at Cena, not jumping back and forth, but I even mentioned that when I was looking at the match with Theory. I was like, he's still jacked, but not as jacked as he was before, because he's focusing on movies and stuff. And it's just weird, like you notice that, that's why as a wrestler, you want to stay in shape in some form or fashion, at least look presentable, because once you see the fans, they just go, oh, wow. Jesus, unless you're a big fat dude, like, and I'm not making fun of him, but like Abdullah Butcher, he's always been fat, so he hasn't changed. Besides, maybe, I mean, he lost weight, but I'm saying if he got fatter, he's still Abdullah the Butcher. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But when like a Lex Luger, when you're just shredded to the gills, just the total package, and then all you're left is the rapper. You look like the rapper that they took out the presents on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate making fun of him, but the first thing that comes to mind when you see him is like, shit, this is the total package, and his fingers are all jacked up, and he's, I mean, it's just sad, So, and again, that was out of his control. I mean, of his what's going on with him. It's just like I say, sometimes you want to at least look presentable. That's all.
Yeah, and on the flip side of at least the introductions coin, Ric Flair inducted the Great Muta, and that was perhaps best described as rambling, as he's apt to do. But I guess the fans enjoy seeing Ric Flair no matter what, as was recently discussed in terms of his last match, where about $300,000 he was paid, and then somewhat criticized the fans for buying into it. But he seemed to be on his better behavior on Friday anyway.
Well, it's probably WWE telling him to be on his best behavior. I mean, Ric Flair's Ric Flair, no matter what he says, he shits on the fans. I mean, people still love him. Huge mark for Muta when I was a kid. He's a great athlete. I just noticed that, like I said, we're all getting old, and you can tell that he's, walking a little bit different from maybe a lot of injuries and stuff like that. And but he's still Muta. Again, I was entertained by the mist and the mask and the theatrics. That's what made him stand out from a lot of athletes. He brings back a lot of great memories. He's entertaining. He's just blessed, so he's blessed people in the ring. And once you face him, man, you just feel like, you've been in a war, and you're going to give it like a 5-star match all the time.
Mm-hmm. And just actually wrestled his last couple of matches in February this year, and I saw clips of those, and certainly was not embarrassing in his performance. But we'll talk about the situation of a case like Muta's in a bit. But in terms of a lot of discussion online, the Hall of Fame, the WWE Hall of Fame, is a source of, it seems, perennial debate about a number of issues. One being the process for landing on a candidate. Is there a process? Who makes the decisions? What about the criteria? What are your thoughts on that as an overarching criticism?
What do you think? And what do you mean? I'm just trying to put the pieces together.
Well, there's not. If you look, just to compare and contrast with Dave Meltzer's Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame, and a couple of the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, the physical one, with Meltzer's Hall of Fame, there's a system of voting. There's a ballot. There's a pre. Those
Gotcha.
that are in the industry get a ballot. They can mail it in, and it seems to be fairly rigorous in terms of, you have to get a percentage of the vote in order to be put in by the readership, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the WWE Hall of Fame, it seems to be completely arbitrary and was a decision basically of Vince McMahon, maybe more or less now. But what are your thoughts on they've criticized, they being critics, have mentioned that there's, just entirely a lack of transparency in the process. Like what is it? How are candidates judged, etc.?
I really don't know what goes behind the scenes in WWE in regards of how they choose their candidates to become or inductees in the WWE Hall of Fame. I never heard the process, how it's done, who's in the committee, who's sitting at the table to make these decisions. It's almost like a little bit like the Academy Awards. They sit there and make that decision like the committee. But a lot of like you said, Meltzer has a system where people vote. There is a way to figure out what the the fans want in regards of who they think should be in the Hall of Fame. And then they can make that determination in regards to the level of votes that the individual got. Then it could say, let's just make it up here. Let's say Demolition. And let's say the fans, pick Demolition and it's like the number is astronomical. Then in regards to that, that's when the WWE will go, well, hey, this is the number. Does this make sense? Should we do it? And then you can at least have a scale, what weighs that scale, the fans, high up on this wrestling persona, or does WWE, trump that? But at least you have that balance to go, okay, now we know where we could teeter if we do consider these individuals. So I like I said, I don't know the process. I really don't. But I'm assuming there was some certain individuals that sit in the office and they sit down and put pen to paper or pencil to paper and make that decision of who they consider WWE Hall of Fame worthy.
A few years ago, the franchise Shane Douglas made a suggestion in and amongst this debate that it would make sense if the WWE universe had a say in the process of who goes in, etc. And he suggested an American Idol type process where someone would pay a flat fee to vote, and then it would the proceeds would go to charity or whatever. But at least there would be more of a fan choice. Yeah, an interaction similar to, I don't know if you remember that pay-per-view, those pay-per-views, Cyber Sunday, et cetera, where the fans actually voted for matches, et cetera, something along those lines. What are your thoughts on that?
No, I think that's great. It gives the fans a voice. It's almost like being part of a union, basically, but they have a voice of making that decision, and it just gets them involved. Sometimes when you get fans involved, it makes it more exciting. So I do believe that's a good idea, a good option. Like, let's just use Stacy Keibler. The thing about her is that I'm not trying to knock her, but becoming a Hall of Famer is longevity. That's the key thing, is always longevity. And you could be a great athlete in your rookie year, first 2-3 years, you hit home runs, you're great, and then you retire for whatever reason. Should you be in the Hall of Fame? No. Yeah, you were great, but the purpose of the Hall of Fame is longevity, the contributions that you do into the business, the things that you've done outside the business, the things that people remember you for having outstanding matches, in like a Ricky Steamboat, or Ric Flair, Jack Briscoe, those individuals been like I said, he's been in the Briscoes has been in ROH. God, I don't know how many years has the Briscoes been in ROH in the
almost
business?
Right from the beginning.
So let's say 25 years. Let's just be generous.
Probably close to 20.
Okay, so 20. That's longevity.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think Keibler should have been inducted into the Hall of Fame because she hasn't contributed anything. Her longevity was not she was just Miss Tessmacher in WCW, and then when she came to WWE, what was she in WWE besides part of the Dudleys? But before that, what was she doing?
She came in, I believe, as part of the invasion angle right after the WCW sale.
And then from that point on, there was nothing else until she got to the Dudleys.
Not that I can recall. Again,
Yeah, see?
I don't. Memorability is also a factor here, I think. And I
Correct.
don't, as we talked off air before, about the only thing I remember from her was being with the Dudley Boys, like you
And
said.
see, and that's the key thing. But she was with the Dudley Boys for a short period of time. It's not like she was with the Dudley Boys from ECW all the way to WWE until they retired, or she followed them to TNA and she was the manager in TNA. That's just what I'm saying. It's just when you look at it, you're like, I don't think she's worth anything. I mean, I don't think she is worth that title as WWE Hall of Famer. I mean, it's already too late. It's already done. But I just don't see that as I don't know. I don't believe it. I don't feel it compared to the other athletes.
Well, right up behind the issue of selection process is the legitimacy of the WWE Hall of Fame. It began in '83 with Andre the Giant being inducted on Raw on a video package, and there was an 8-year hiatus from '96 to 2004, but it's been running regularly since then. And one of the major criticisms is the fact that there's no physical Hall of Fame. Oh, we've got Greek God Papadon here. I'm just going to bring him in, and we'll get to that question. GGP, how are you, sir?
Oh,
guys, how's everything going?
Oh, hold on. Let me look at my watch. Yeah, he's falling on Ultimate Warrior time. Hey, what's up, player?
What's up, brother? It's good to see you.
Man, it's good to see that room, bro. That's money right there, bro. Look at all that. Man, look, that's beautiful, bro. You see, I don't got shit but a hardwood wall right here. It's good to see you too, man. I always pop when you're on the show.
My computer's having issues, so I'm on my cell phone. Hopefully the connection's okay.
You're still beautiful, bro. You're still God.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you for joining us, GGP. We're just getting into a little bit about the discussion of the Hall of Fame, but before I bring you in on our second area, we talked a little bit about the selection process. We're going to talk about legitimacy after that. I wanted to mention right off the bat that you are booked for a very big Canadian title match on May the 6th. In the Earl Armstrong Arena for Great North Wrestling. The championship committee met, and because we are restarting the promotion, we looked far and wide and tried to see who are the best workers out there today that would be worthy of coming into the promotion and getting a title shot. And that's what we landed on. And your opponent is the Black Dynamite Jeremy Prophet, who has held the belt a very, very long time, and like you, appeared on AEW in the recent past. What are your thoughts on being selected for this match and your opponent?
Well, first and foremost, the politically correct answer would be, I'm honored. But the real GGP answer is, of course I'm selected to be there because you want to put asses in seats. And I draw. I'm a goddamn architect. I draw the goddamn house. So, of course, you want GGP in the main event fighting for your strap, because they're not going to want to see a Greek American win the Canadian heavyweight title. Of course not. But what's going to happen is I will. And I hate to disappoint them, but your Canadian heroes are not in the same league as the Greek god, to say the least. So, in all honesty, it's going to be a great match. This guy, Black Dynamite, from what I've seen and what I hear, he's very talented. But he's good. But I'm great. So I'll carry him like I carry all my other opponents. And we'll have a great match, and we'll put asses in seats.
Well, there certainly is a lot of buzz around that, because the fans of Great North Wrestling are very familiar with Jeremy Prophet and the matches he's had. Do you think you'll have difficulty countering the man's speed, which is tremendous, and some of the more acrobatic maneuvers that he can pull off?
No, because I'll just slap my leg and get over. I'm kidding. Kidding. In all honesty, look, the kid might be quick. He might be very athletic. He might be able to do couple of flippity doodah here and there, but for every flippity doodah, there's a counter, and for every counter, there's another counter. And the fact that I've been doing this so long, and the fact that I've been all over the world doing this, and every time I step into a ring, I'm always learning, just adds more arsenal to my mental capacity, which is a lot greater than anyone in Canada. So on top of that, my abilities in the ring will speak for themselves. So if the guy wants to flip from pillar to ring post, that's fine. I'll catch him. I'll slam him. I'll put him down in the mat for the 1, 2, 3, or I'll put him in a submission and tap him out and become the new champ. So I'm not worried. I've done wrestled many flippity doodah guys. I've done wrestled many giants. I've done wrestled many characters. The only thing I haven't wrestled is a bear. So unless you want to put a bear in the ring with me, you know, it's just another day in the office for GGP.
Well, there's a lot of bears in Canada. I know that for sure. But you know, it's funny. You know, GGP did say something that always brings back, you know, the Rocky movie. You fight great, but I'm a great fighter. Two different aspects. You know, he could do all the flying around. And again, I'm not knocking the kid. He looks great. But it's the knowledge that, you know, GGP has, you know. Yeah, he could it's like having a beautiful car and you see like, wow, the presentation is great. It's a great car, but the engine sucks. You know, so he looks great flying around, but it's, you know, when you have that knowledge like GGP has, it doesn't weigh, man. The scale just like shoots off the top, man. I mean, I have so much faith in this guy, and I'm not putting him over because he's a friend of mine. I just seen his work for many years, and you know, this Dynamite kid, I seen him, but there's something about him that's missing, and that's knowledge and skill. Not the skill of flippity floppity, but this guy is always on point, a step ahead of everybody. So I think he's going to win, you know, hands down.
Well, thank you.
Just one thing, the intangible quality though is the Great North Wrestling fans are very, very loyal, and we're looking at what will be no doubt a packed house for the 15th anniversary show, and the fans are really not going to be behind you, GGP, in terms of, you know, taking that Canadian strap back with you to the troubled land of the United States. We're a very patriotic bunch up here. How are you going to counter the lack of fan support for you and the people really getting behind Profit?
That's a very good question. And my answer would have to be just what I normally do. I go to every venue and I get booed out the building because people are jealous of my wrestling ability, the fact that I'm living my dream and they're doing a 9-to-5 job and they hate their lives, but I'm loving mine. They hate the fact that at my age, 45 years old, I look better than they did in their heyday. 23 years of experience in the ring and traveling the world doing what I do. And every time I step in that ring, I get the loudest ovations from the fans. I get them involved in the match. I get them emotionally connected. It's not just some two guys going in there, smacking their legs, flying around and doing every move in the book just for move's sake. No, I do what I do with a purpose and a logic, and I give them their money's worth. So when I step in that ring and I take the Canadian strap back to the U.S., back to New York, and add them to my collection of straps I already have, the fact of the matter is I don't care what they think. I want them to try to find another Canadian hero, prop him up and bring him back to the next show, and I'll defeat that guy too. The fact of the matter is, everyone's hands in Canada are too small to grapple with this god, and they're going to learn that the hard way because I'm the alpha and omega of pro wrestling, man. I've sat under many learning trees, and two of the greatest people that trained me, Homicide and Mikey Whipwreck. It doesn't get any better, and they'll see that on the 6th of May when I take this championship from Black Lightning. So,
but you know what's funny though? You know, the fans could hate him. They could really hate him and they could despise him. But when they walk in the door, they drop this, and they put this in his pocket. So even if he doesn't win the strap, let's just say, he's still walking out with this, you know. And if you fans don't know, this is American money. But the thing is,
works the same to us.
It always works the same. But he's getting this, plus with the title is just the icing on the cake. So he's going to win the title. He's going to walk away with this. They could boom all he wants, but he's got his pockets are fat and he has the strap. So I mean, it's a win-win.
Of course.
Well, we shall see. That is a prominent bout on the May 6th card coming up at the Earl Armstrong Arena in Ottawa. Tickets are on sale now. at ticketweb.ca, and we'll have them at the door. On to the Hall of Fame. GGP, we're just getting into it, and the next topic of discussion is legitimacy of the WWE Hall of Fame and whether or not that is hampered, so to speak, by the lack of a physical infrastructure. I'll throw to you for your comments on that first, and then Kingpin.
Well, that's been the elephant in the room for a very long time as far as the Hall of Fame goes. There's no physical Hall of Fame where you can go see all the people in the Hall of Fame, see their pictures, see their gear, see memorabilia from their career. So in one retrospect, yeah, I think it does not diminish, but adds fuel to the fire for the argument and for the topic of discussion. But in retrospect, the people who all been indicted into this Hall of Fame, they've earned their bones. You know, they've all earned being in a Hall of Fame. Whether or not they competed in the WWE doesn't necessarily matter, in my opinion, because this is not the WWE or WWF or WWF Hall of Fame, meaning that only people who competed in it, they're presenting a wrestling Hall of Fame. So, you know, I mean, put it this way. Last night, some people went in, they all deserved it. And I didn't get to see the ceremony. I didn't even watch WrestleMania last night. Unfortunately, I heard it was great. But do they need it? I think to really make it 100% complete and tangible, yes. Any Hall of Fame. Because look, any Hall of Fame you go to, it's bricks and mortar. There's physical, tangible assets in that building that people go see and relinquish. They relive their memories through seeing pictures, seeing memorabilia, seeing the statistics that one person had, in the Hall of Fame. So them not having that, it's different, out of the norm. And the people who usually, when you do things out of the norm, they always complain. So, but then what happens? Let's say they do get a spot. Maybe it's not big enough. Maybe the location's not great. Maybe there's not enough parking. There'll be more things for people to complain after that, because that's what wrestling fans do. Wrestling fans and Star Wars fans are very similar. They're the worst fans in the world. All they do is complain. You give them an inch, they want a mile. You give them a mile, they want 10 miles. You give them 10 miles, they want an entire universe. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and some of the criticism is pointed about lack of a physical space, given the fact that it would seem there would be a license to print money in Florida with the Performance Center, and right beside there, all the fan attractions. Otherwise, what are your thoughts, Kingpin?
Well, no, like I said, I'm just going back to legitimacy. I mean, okay, and I'm just putting, because this is the only person that pops in my head, and I'm not knocking him, but like Vic Grimes, that's like saying like Vic Grimes makes it into the Hall of Fame, and and then you're gonna, and it's not hating, it's just that like this, the longevity of the athlete that contribute to the business, and you look at the history of the guy, and we already talked about it. It just kills me when I see Stacy Keibler in the Hall of Fame, where there's other people who are world, like like I said, Demolition. There's individuals that just been there for a long time that have memorable moments where you go, this is, I mean, you could give it like a legacy award, like, hey man, like, okay, like Reckless Youth, he retired. The possibilities could have been endless. So you remember him like, man, legacy, you could give him an award, but he's not in the Hall of Fame because he stopped. They all could think about what could have been. So they could get him more what could have been, like, hey, we honor you because we don't know what you could have done, but we acknowledge you because we saw the potential of you becoming a Hall of Famer, but still, here's your reward. That's a difference compared to putting him in the Hall of Fame and like, his career was short. He didn't really do much, but because he was, you remember Reckless Youth, Greek God. Do you remember him?
Of course, I worked him.
Yeah, see, shit, he looks so young. That's why I'm like, but yeah, man, he was an awesome wrestler, man. The guy was phenomenal. But do you really think he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame? You know what I mean? Like, it's like that. Hard to say, because like he left. I forgot why he left, but that's just my perspective on the situation of the Hall of Fame. Muda, Mysterio, White, yeah, absolutely. Andy Kaufman, Absolutely. But when it comes to certain people that I've been seeing, like the Bella twins, and I'm just like, Jesus fucking Christ. And then they knock that girl out with the foot, like, yeah, that's a Hall of Famer right there. That's what kills me. It's just fluff.
I get it. But unfortunately, we don't know. I mean, I've heard stories where people got offered the Hall of Fame, they turned it down because they wanted more money. They didn't want to sign a contract, or whatever the case may be. So who knows? We don't know. Maybe they didn't want to give Demolition enough money to get. Maybe they wanted to do something with Demolition. Because I'm with you. Demolition belongs in the Hall of Fame. There's a lot of other people that belong in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
I'm totally with you. But I guess since we're not part of that inner circle, we'll never know the real truth of why or who gets picked. Maybe Stacy Keibler was first round draft pick. Maybe she was a 100th round draft pick. We'll never know.
Yeah, and we don't know what goes behind the scenes, or what agreement, disagreement, or again, I don't know if there was money involved. If he's saying there's money on the table, I mean, and they're like, oh, that's not worth it. We deserve more, and that's why they turned it down. Shit, but like I said, the Nasty Boys, it just rattles. It's just individuals that just come off the top of my head. But again, I don't know what it entails to be considered in the Hall of Fame. Like if they called me, if I was that level, and they say, hey, this is how much we're gonna pay you, if that's what it is, and I say no, yeah, then give it to the next motherfucker. And if they don't ran out of people, yeah. But again, I don't know the dynamics of what the decisions they make.
Can I just say one thing? Can I say that on this show, this is the catalyst. I am initiating the movement right now for next year's Hall of Fame. We get Stevie Richards into the Hall of Fame in WWE.
Oh yeah, Stevie Richards deserves to be there. I mean, absolutely. He's done a lot, and it's not because he's my friend. It's because I'm looking at his career. He has made a mark. Every time everything he touched turned to gold. So man, he's well deserved to get that.
And was in one of the highest profile main event programs in the Right to Censor during the Attitude Era, and made the company a ton of money. So yeah, let's get a hashtag going for that for sure. One of the other collateral questions around the Hall of Fame issue is, should active wrestlers be excluded from the Hall of Fame in terms of you touched on it, Angel, longevity being a factor, and this isn't just a WWE phenomenon with Mysterio, and I think Flair was technically active when he was inducted. I may be wrong, but the Meltzer's Observer Hall of Fame has Kenny Omega in it, for example, who's very much active. What are each of your thoughts on that? And does it appear premature to have someone who isn't retired in a Hall of Fame?
I think, I mean, this is just my perspective. Once you're out of the game, you can have your last match in WrestleMania, if this is your last match, win, lose, or draw. But I mean, the Hall of Fame, or, from football to baseball, is when you're done, man. This is your cherry on top to say thank you for everything you've done. If you're still performing like a Kenny Omega, then, and again, I'm not saying he doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame. I'm just saying that he should be out of the game and then be acknowledged for the contributions he's done into this industry. It's just that's just how I feel. GGP might think totally different.
It's a hard scenario because we're comparing baseball, we compare hockey, we compare football, all these other sports. And when usually you go into the Hall of Fame is like when you do retire, you can't play anymore, your body give out, whatever the case may be. So like you said, it's the cherry on top of the cake. In wrestling, because no one actually retires,
in this business.
Someone calls me up tomorrow. If I'm 90 years old, and someone goes, "Hey, we want to pay you $500,000 to come wrestle a match," I'll definitely do it. You know what I mean? But even if I'm shitting in my pants and wearing a diaper, it doesn't matter.
Still holding the Canadian title, right?
Exactly, brother.
But that's a little bit different. I mean, that shows, like when you be asked to come, it's like oh my God, he's coming back just for this one night. And every other time, like 4 months later, he comes back for one more night.
Of course.
I mean,
but the thing is, wrestling, they're also selling tickets, right, for the Hall of Fame stuff, and they want people to, I guess, back in the day, buy pay-per-views. Now, I guess subscribers. So they want to put guys who are draws, and Mysterio's obviously a draw. Who knows how long he has left on contract or in his career? I don't know. But traditionally, I do feel that if you're going to go in the Hall of Fame, you should be when you're done. But at the same time, like for example, Mysterio, he's active, but the guy has done so much. Like, how much more can he possibly do? You know what I mean? Here, I personally think Conan should be in the Hall of Fame because without Conan, there'd be no Mysterio, there'd be no Juventud, and there would be no Ring of Honor and a lot of guys who emulated the cruiserweight style from the '90s now. So, in my opinion, he's another guy who should be in the Hall of Fame. He's the, so that's
Well,
me.
I was gonna say like the Conan situation. Yeah, I agree with you, but I laugh because I think he still has heat when he did the Max Moon gimmick and bounced.
Yeah,
And that's why I was shocked that he was there to induct Ray, because I always heard stories like that he still had heat for that in situation. So yeah, he deserves it. Nicest guy on the planet, funny as fuck. Like I say, he done a lot. I mean, he was in novelas, that's soap operas in Spanish if you don't know, like Kilby, and the guy was like a hijo de santo, like always on TV. I mean, he's a legend in Mexico, so he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. They put Mil Mascaras, legend, so he's well deserved it, And then Rey Mysterio is fucking 48, so he still got a couple more years to do what he wants to do. But knowing if he does retire, I won't be surprised he pops in AEW.
wow. The money.
Yeah,
So you touched on it earlier, GGP, in terms of when the Hall of Fame started up until about 2004, it seemed to be mostly the purview of individuals that competed in the WWF, WWE. So now that isn't the case, and we've seen others inducted that never set foot in a WWE ring, including Muda last Friday. Do you think that is something that should be taken as a controversial aspect? Because some of the, as you touched on again before, some of the fans online complain about that it's these guys have no business being in there, blah blah blah, and it's not. It dilutes the legacy of the WWF, WWE talent in there.
I disagree. Only reason because there's been so much talent out there that never WWE for whatever rhyme or reason, right? Whether it's politics, whether it's personal choice, whether it's just timing, whatever the case may be, but have contributed so much to the sport of professional wrestling and paved the way to many individuals who went to the WWE that they need to get acknowledged for their contributions to the sport of professional wrestling. Put it this way, for example, the Midnight Express. I would love to see them in the Hall of Fame. They deserve to be there. Jim Cornette, okay, he went to WWE, but Stan Lane, I don't ever recall him being in WWE. Bobby Eaton wasn't in WWE, God rest his soul, so why not acknowledge those guys? I mean, without the Midnight Express, FTR, the Revival, they were inspired by them. The Rock and Roll Express, same thing. There's a lot of guys, in my opinion, from ECW that should be in the Hall of Fame. That maybe they had a cup of coffee on Raw during the invasion angle, but they did their thing in ECW. People from the NWA, the AWA. There's so many territories that the WWE absorbed, and for whatever rhyme or reason, people didn't get a chance to work for Vince Jr. or Vince Sr., whatever the case may be. But they added so much to professional wrestling, So they're a brick in the foundation that the WWE was built on. So why not? I think they should be in there.
Also like the Fantastics.
Yeah.
Those guys were fucking awesome, I mean, they had phenomenal matches. Fantastics should be in there, SD Special Delivery Jones, even though he was, like I don't want to say jobber, but I mean, he built WWE. He helped. I mean, my trainer is in the Hall of Fame, so he should be in the Hall of Fame too,
No, absolutely.
So
with respect to the historical or the legacy candidates, there's some controversy around the fact that they're not announced in advance, and they're usually the subject of a brief video package, and some fans feel that that's disrespectful. And I know Meltzer has been outspoken about that hurting the legitimacy of the WWE Hall of Fame. And this year there were, to my knowledge anyway, no legacy candidates What are your thoughts on that? Do you feel that they could be booked a little better into the ceremony, and hopefully they're not discontinuing them, but again, none this year.
Sorry, you lost me. Would you discontinue what?
Discontinuing the legacy or the historical candidates.
Oh, no. Okay. Missed that part. Go ahead, Greek. I'd let you answer that one.
It's difficult. You only got X amount of time. Everyone has an acceptance speech. Everyone has to say their thank yous. They got to be introduced. They got to tell a road story, part of their speech. You can't have 30,000 matches in a 3-hour time at a Frank Goodman show. Point being is this: if you're trying to get them in for their contributions and they passed away, and you're acknowledging them because of their legacy, yeah, get them in. You want to do a 1-minute highlight reel or some kind of recognition package, and there's 10 people go in and that's a 10-minute segment of the show. That's fine. You can't have 10 different families come up and accept an award and to give a speech. It'd be nice. It would definitely be nice. But then guess what? Then you have like a 7-hour Hall of Fame ceremony. Who's going to sit through that? Who's going to buy a ticket for that to sit through? You know what I mean? And I guarantee you some of these people won't even know who these legacy guys are. Like last night they put in Tim White. How many fans today know who Tim White is and the importance of that man in this business? Not many people do. Like I would be very, very happy to see Tommy Young go in next year as a referee because he deserves it. He's the greatest referee of all time, in my opinion. And other individuals from other companies that they contributed. But again, you only have X amount of time and X amount of space to fill up with the ceremony, so you can't win either which way, because if you do acknowledge everybody and give them 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, then all of a sudden the show is 7 hours long and people are going to complain that it's too long. And then what happens if you try to condense the people who are getting acceptance speech to a 5-minute speech? People complain, oh, their speech was too short. They didn't talk enough. I wanted to see a better speech, or their speech was whack. So you can't win.
But you know what you can do? I mean, like you said, you don't want a 7-hour show, but you can give them their time in the sun on, online. Like if you go to WWE website and you could click on the individual and there's their family saying, hey, I want to thank everybody, because they know they don't have time, but they give them that spotlight on the website. And then if you click on, you get the history of the individual, like a breakdown, almost like a memorial video thing type of thing that you can kind of see his career and the thank yous that the family said on the show.
Yes, that's a great, brilliant idea. They should incorporate that. Absolutely.
And right alongside all of these issues is the fact that it seems to be a perennial source of debate about notable omissions from the Hall of Fame, and you touched on a couple with Demolition, but one name would be China on her own, Elizabeth, and even an upcoming guest on this podcast or on the Great North Wrestling podcast, Missy Hyatt. Before you came on GDP, we were talking about a suggestion that the franchise Shane Douglas had about treating it as almost a vote-in system where fans could actually contribute to both the selection of candidates for a given year and then vote on them. Do you see any value in that in terms of making some of the notable exceptions included?
Yes and no. Only because you give the opportunity to fans to choose who they want. They pick who they want. All right. Then they go up to that person. Hey, you got picked to be in the Hall of Fame. You got 60% of the votes, whatever the case may be. They really want you in the Hall of Fame this year. Who has the power and the leverage now? The person going in the Hall of Fame. Oh, you want me in the Hall of Fame? Well, it's going to be $25,000 booking fee for me to come in that night. First class ticket, the whole 9 yards. And I'm looking at it from a business aspect, And damn well the WWE don't like it when the people have power over them and they want to have the power to come to them and they're doing them a favor. So I don't think that's why it would work from their point of view. But if realistically, if it was based on what the fans want, then yeah, voting would make a perfect sense. But again, on top of that, if they do vote and the WD does not adhere to their pick, then they're not giving the fans what they want, and now they're going to get backlash from the fans. So they kind of put themselves in a corner by doing that and giving all the power and leverage to the fans and to the people, and they're the third person on the totem pole in that equation. And I know damn well ego in this business and the way things go in this business, they're not going to be the third person on that. They want to be the one who's pulling the strings. So we'll never see it happen.
Yeah. And another thing, I think people behind the scenes should be inducted. Instead of again, I'm not shitting on it, but Stacy Keibler, instead of her, they could have gave it to Jim Johnson. And Kelby, do you know who Jim Johnson is?
Yeah, the music guy.
Fuck, 30 years. 30 years of fucking give you memorable music. So he should be inducted because he contributed a lot. So, Cyndi Lauper, if they gave, she was a pinnacle of wrestling. So, I mean, it's just tons and tons of individuals that it's just like comes off, I know they could give Owen Hart because of the wife situation, but, Brian Pillman, Viscera, Dynamite.
What about Benoit?
That's a very hard. Nothing negative about him. It's just that the backlash that they might get.
Sorry, it's down here. Sorry about that.
No worries. Your thoughts on that, Kingpin, in terms of it is a difficult situation, of course, but it seems to be coming up over and over again with the fans, some fans, that he should be, from his horrible, evil, horrific acts, he should be separated from that, and his work should be. And I was a huge Chris Benoit fan, but personally, I don't believe that would be inappropriate.
Hey, put it this way. They got O.J. Simpson. Of course, he got into the Hall of Fame before he did his shit. But again, you just got to separate those two situations. He was a great athlete. He gave us memorable matches. It's just that Vince, anybody, they just don't want to risk it. That's the problem. So, I mean, he's well deserved, definitely. But it's just, I don't think it's going to happen.
It's a hard situation. I mean, look how uncomfortable we are as answering the question. Now imagine if he was in the Hall of Fame, how much controversy and uncomfortability they would go with just that. I mean, it's you got to pick your battles, and this is one battle I'm pretty sure no one wants to fight, regardless what you think of the individual. I mean, I was a huge mark for him, based a lot of my career on him. But what happened afterwards, I mean, I personally have my own theories and my own beliefs, and it doesn't go against the narrative that's being told right now, but I'm not going to go down that path right now. But at the same time, you don't want to have your Hall of Fame be overshadowed by the travesty and the costume that this one person would offer.
If they do give him the Hall of Fame, let's just go with this scenario. They will put him. Bottom line, they will, like, for example, they will put him on the website. They'll send the family the ring. He'll get his accolades, but he won't get his time on TV. It will be like oh shit, I didn't know Chris Benoit was in the Hall of Fame. They will give it to the family, but they will put him on the website in the back end, some weird shit. But he won't get the family won't come on stage. All that stuff. I think that's the worst case scenario that they might do if it ever happens.
Well, that remains to be seen, because they seem to be softening a bit on the situation with him in terms of their library. He's not acknowledged per se on the programming, but there are matches, I'm told anyway, on the network with Benoit in it, but he's just not bookmarked as such. But we shall see.
You can't erase. You can't erase that, you know what I mean? They just don't want to acknowledge him, but but if you watch a match, you're going to be like, oh shit, he's there, because he's connected with a lot of great matches with a lot of top stars. So you can't do that,
Well, he was their world champion, right? So pretty hard to take that off the books. Last area I wanted to touch on in terms of the Hall of Fame that is somewhat controversial, or I guess you could call it controversial, is the Warrior Award, which was originally going to be named something else for the unsung heroes of the WWE, such as the behind the scenes folks. And Tim White received the Warrior Award per se this year, but it seems to have been co-opted from the original intention to embodying an individual who somehow embodied the spirit, the fighting spirit, or what have you, of the Ultimate Warrior. which still makes me scratch my head. The turnaround they did with Hellwig before his death, given that that self-destruction, the Ultimate Warrior DVD release, where he was basically assassinated as a person. What are your thoughts on how they've moved from recognizing the people that perhaps don't get the ballyhoo, blah blah blah, to this kind of a hybrid sort of an award of more visible figures, so to speak?
4 words: cards subject to change.
No, I agree.
Do you see it as unfortunate that they've strayed away from that? And for example, the folks that mix the sound or are involved in pre-production, post-production, they seem to be out of this. Would it warrant perhaps adding another award of that nature if they want to use the Ultimate Warrior as a marketing tool?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see nothing wrong with it. I mean, like I said, there's a lot of individuals out there that deserve accolades, so I don't see making another Vince McMahon Kennedy, Vince McMahon Senior Award. There's just so many. I don't know, Andre the Giant Award. Best big man in the business, which is not that many, but you know what I mean. But I'm just saying. I mean, it doesn't hurt to add on other categories for people who are well deserved.
Well, if they bring in a best big man of the business, would you not agree, GGP, that Big Sal would be down for that?
Absolutely. But then you got to make sure what the big man parameters are. Do you consider someone who's 7 foot big man? Do you consider somebody who's over 6'6" or 6'4" or whatever the case, a big man? Because I mean, back in the 80s, being 6'4" was the norm. Now being 6'4", you looked at as like a giant. So it all depends on what the parameters they set for that said award. But absolutely, Big Sal with 100%.
Agreed.
I love Big Sal.
So before we wrap it up, tonight is the second night of WrestleMania, as all the fans are aware. Where do each of you gentlemen lie on the main event tonight of Reigns versus Cody Rhodes?
I like Greek God have talk.
I love I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I don't watch as much wrestling as I would like to. I have 37 kids running around this goddamn house. They're driving me insane, as you probably heard in the background. But by the time I put everyone to bed and it's late, the last thing I can adhere is sit down on my couch or lay in my bed and watch wrestling. I'm gonna try and watch it tonight. I didn't watch it last night because I fell asleep early, but I'm gonna try to watch it tonight. I think Cody's going over. I would book Cody going over. I think it's a good way to finish his story, quote unquote, like he likes to say. But also, the bloodline has been probably one of the best things that WWE has done in a very, very, very long time. And if you want to bring Reigns back, you bring him back with a new coat of paint a month, 2 months, 3 months from now, and the guy's fresh again. You know what I mean? Being on top for so long, sooner or later, people get tired of seeing the same thing over and over again. Unless you're GGP, then you can be on top forever. But if you ask my wife, it's only for about 30 seconds. Anyhow, but in actuality, I'm picking Cody.
Well, I mean, my thoughts is like it's so hard to make this decision because I don't watch wrestling as well that much anymore. But I'm gonna go with Roman Reigns because again the tag titles were just lost, so they still want to at least hold some type of. I mean, the Bloodline's awesome, but I don't think they're gonna drop all titles that one night. So I just think Roman Reigns is still gonna hold the title, and then they're just gonna work some other angle later on, just to the next pay-per-view, maybe the next WrestleMania. It's just whatever, But I just think he's not gonna lose it that night. Tonight, really,
which is a big risk considering the Lex Luger effect with how they held off on him going over Yokozuna at the big SummerSlam card and then lost steam. Do you think there's a chance that could happen to Cody in that situation?
No, I don't think so because I mean Cody has a great following with the fans, so I don't think that's going to happen. I just think that if they want to build up, I mean, because it really build up anything to make it more like cheat them out of the win and then bring them back for the next event. Shit, could be for SummerSlams. You know, lose, work a big, massive angle, build, becomes like a big old steel cage match in SummerSlam. You know what I mean? So just give it enough steam to for fans to just sink their teeth in. You know, so yeah, I think that's what's gonna happen.
Sorry about that. I don't know what happened.
No worries. We're just wrapping up here. Papadon, aside from your big match coming up May 6th for Great North Wrestling, what do you have on your plate, and where can folks find you on social media?
Let's see. I am wrestling on the 29th in Long Island for New York Wrestling Connection. I am coming to win your championship on the 6th and tell all the Canadians that Greeks are better than them, and Trudeau can suck it. But I digress. On the 18th of May, I'll be Wrestling Is Now, which is a new company here in the Northeast that's brought to you by the SAT. We just had their first inaugural show this past Friday, and I ended up wrestling a cat by the name of Chris Cage. Stole the show. Great show from top to bottom, but, you know, I was semi-main, and the crowd done seen 7,000 dives, this, that, and the other, and I came out like Jesus Christ. I resurrected the dead like Lazarus and brought them on their feet, and they booed me out the building, but I still got the W, like I always do, and had match of the night. But on the 18th, I'll be there. And at the end of the month of May, I'll be back at NYWC. I may have one or two other bookings in between, but I can't remember off the top of the dome. It's a CTE. So. Oh, you can find me at Twitter is at GreekGodPapadon, Instagram at GreekGodPapadon, Demetrius Papadon on Facebook, Pro Wrestling T /GreekGodPapadon for the Pro Wrestling T stuff. YouTube channel, Greek God Papadon. Subscribe, hit the notification bell. You get to see matches, promos, all that stuff. And find me at New Force Order Podcast and Conspiracy Horsemen Podcast.
Absolutely. Well, we'll have to wait and see Jeremy Prophet's response to your words here. I know the fans are looking forward to it. Could be a barn burner.
Well, listen, Jeremy, if you're gonna watch this, or if some of the stool pigeons who are watching this are gonna come run to you and tell you what I said about you, let me personally say it again. Show up on the 6th. Bring your A game. You're gonna need it, because I'm gonna whoop your ass. And I'm taking the championship back to a real country, because you're going to have to realize that my people, the Greeks, invented professional wrestling. And if it wasn't for my people, if it wasn't for me keeping this business alive, you'd be saying what you normally would be saying for a living. Do you want fries with that? You're welcome.
Wow. Well, thanks for your time, Mr. Papadon.
He just left.
See you soon. Oh, he left. Okay.
Yeah, it's called pay your bill. He gets so far shut up.
Could be a connection issue.
No,
Angel, I got it. How would you like to close today? Do you have anything that you'd like to direct the fans to, where they can find you? Any more predictions about Mania?
Well, fans can find me on Facebook. I'm easily found on Instagram. Definitely could check me out there. But I'm just gonna say WrestleMania has always been great. They always have some awesome performances, so I think it's gonna be a hell of a show. I'm not gonna watch it. I'm not gonna lie. I have other things to do, but I will catch the replay. Like the highlights of everything. But I just think it's just gonna be a phenomenal show. Hopefully next year, they'll have some more inductees in the Hall of Fame that are, that I could say like, hey, yeah, they're deserving, which a lot of individuals do. But I just kind of like said, that's why I'm stammering. Like, this year was good, but I think they could have just put somebody else instead of Keebler. But I mean, just to end the show, man, just keep watching wrestling. Enjoy life. Life is too short. And come back at us next week. We'll definitely have some another show that you guys would enjoy even more. Again, appreciate the support, and the best is yet to come.
Absolutely. Well, that's it, fans. Thank you for watching the third episode of Shooting from the Hip with the Kingpin and the Gentleman. And Jack Kilby here, Executive Vice President of Great North Wrestling. No Gimmicks Entertainment is pleased to present Great North Wrestling's huge 15th anniversary show on Saturday, May the 6th at the Earl Armstrong Arena in Ottawa, Ontario. Bell time 7 p.m. This stacked card will feature former TNA Impact World Heavyweight Champion Cowboy James Storm, WCW legend The Taskmaster, Kevin Sullivan managing the diabolical Blood Hunter, second generation former TNA star Aces and Eights Wes Briscoe, Canadian champion Black Dynamite Jeremy Prophet, and former GNW Women's Champion Jessica Black, the Conspiracy Horsemen of Ayatollah Bin Hameen and Greek god Papadon from Vince Russo's brand, Ottawa wrestling legend Bruiser, with much more to be announced. Fans, there will be a meet and greet before the event and at intermission. Tickets now on sale, available at ticketweb.ca and at the door. Don't you dare miss.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it and click the subscribe button to not miss any of our latest shoot interviews.